Welcome back to Fireside Giants. My name is Alexander Wilson, your host, and today I want to talk a little bit about the defense. But before we dive into it, just want to let you guys know to hit that subscribe button on YouTube and to please follow me on Twitter, Alex Wilson ESM. Plenty of content coming. I'm always keeping everybody up to date, putting out hot takes, being crazy. That's what I do. So I love you guys to be more involved on Twitter. Obviously, I always respond to your comments on YouTube as well, and I'm looking forward to interacting with you guys more. So for today, I want to talk about the defense and just how young they really are. This is actually insane. I was looking at this yesterday, and I'm looking specifically at the secondary right now, but I'll dive more into the defensive line as well. So in the secondary, we have DeAndre Baker, who's 22 years old, Corey Ballantyne, who's 23 years old, Julian Love, who's 21 years old, and then Sam Beal, who's 23. So you can kind of see why they struggled in 2019. Most of them were rookies. We could even cough Sam Beal up to being a rookie, even though he was injured for all of 2018. Looking at those guys in the secondary is pretty impressive to see just how young they are, what Dave Gettleman is really trying to do here with this team. He's trying to lower the age. The Giants only allocate $29 million towards their entire defense. That's pretty crazy to consider that Jadeveon Clowney in free agency is looking for $22 million right off the bat per year. So you can kind of see, how little they're really allocating towards that unit. And to start with, I want to go over DeAndre Baker a little bit. He struggled immensely in the first half of 2019, his rookie season. He ended up allowing a 61.4% completion percentage on 88 targets. So he allowed 850 yards, 587 of those were through the air. So he didn't really do well covering in man coverage. He was actually much better covering man in college. Off-ball coverage was not his specialty. He's way better on-ball cover cornerback. I think that's how they should utilize him in the future, and they were kind of making that mistake, and James Bettcher was being ripped apart, rightfully so, because of it. His 9% missed tackle rate was not good at all. That needs to improve. He has to be a better tackler. Head coach Joe Judge made it apparent that they are going to be doing live practicing drills with pads this season, something the Giants haven't done in a very long time, if have ever done. A lot of people were very surprised by that comment, but I think it's really good to get your fundamentals down as long as they can mitigate any injury concern. I'm really excited about the possibility of the Giants learning from Judge and getting those details, those fundamentalistic points down so that during live games they are well-versed and know how to get it done. The fact that they don't do live tackling drills in general during practice is mind-blowing. How are you expected to be able to tackle someone if you haven't tackled anyone in practice? They say practice makes perfect. They need to be accepting that mantra as well. And additionally for Baker, he allowed 6 touchdown passes, which is extremely high. Moving over to Corey Ballantyne with a 64.3 percentage rate. Not good at all. 393 yards, 247 of them through the air, so that's also not very good. 4 touchdowns allowed. So, together, him and Baker both allowed 10 touchdowns in total, which is, very bad. The Giants need to find a veteran corner, which is what I like about this free agency period. Byron Jones, James Bradbury, Chris Harris, Logan Ryan, they have tons of veteran cornerbacks the Giants can go out and allocate money toward. I think that's what Gettleman should be doing, especially because they're so young. When you have a secondary this young, you can't expect them to adapt to the NFL that quickly, especially because the cornerback position specifically is extremely hard for college players to adapt to. People are all saying really good things about Jeff Okudah, and I think he's going to be a fantastic cornerback in the NFL, but I wouldn't be surprised if he struggles for the first few games, even his first rookie season, just adapting to the physicality and speed. It's much different facing off against players at the NFL level, especially guys like Michael Thomas, even OBJ. There's plenty of other wide receivers that are incredibly hard to cover, and DeAndre Baker got a taste of that. He's a very confident guy, and the fact that he was burned over and over and over again is not something that you want to see, but again, it's part of the process of adapting to the NFL, which is what I'm trying to get across here. We shouldn't write him off just yet. He is very capable of becoming a quality cornerback, but we have to give him the time to prove to us that he can actually do that. As for Julian Love, I love what they're trying to do with him, pun intended. He had 3 passes defended last year, 1 forced fumble. He was a pretty good player. He only really started playing in the second half of the year, but they try to utilize him as a utility player. So they wanted him to kind of slot in a strong safety, a little bit of free safety, a little bit of cornerback, a little bit of slot. He's actually one of those jack-of-all-trades players that can do it all, but I really think it's going to take some time for him to get there. I don't want to see him as a starting option in 2020 because he had almost a 10% missed tackle rate, which is the worst of Ballantyne and Baker, and we know how poor they played last season. 65.5% completion percentage. That's the worst of the group as well. So, factoring those things, again, we can cough up a lot of that to him. Rather a smaller sample size is one thing, but also the fact that he was playing multiple positions. Obviously, they all require different communication, different skill set. So this is all something to, formulate into this equation for Love at the time. And I think that, he needs more time to develop. That's the big thing. He only played on 40%. Special teams on defense, 30% of snaps. So he didn't really get that much playing time to begin with. We need to see more of him. I think preseason we'll be able to get a little bit better understanding of what he's capable of. But again, all of these guys are so young. At 21 years old, he could barely drink alcohol. So that's, Love is so young, and these guys have plenty of time to develop. That was the point of last year's draft, was to invest heavily in the cornerback position and the free safety spot with Love. So I think that the Giants are going to be, really focusing in on developing them, especially with Joe Judge's mentality towards, the fundamentalistic approach. And the last thing I just want to hit on, the defensive line, the interior defensive line specifically. We have Dalvin Tomlinson, who's 26 years old, Dexter Lawrence, who's 22. Those guys are also extremely young. I know Tomlinson's going into his final year of his contract until they'll have to extend him. He played fantastic last year, and I would love to see them bring him back on a multi-year deal. Dexter Lawrence, on the other hand, is a massive guy. I think he's like 360 pounds or something crazy, and he can fill the hole. He can play the run. He can actually get after the passer. He's incredibly quick as well. So altogether, this defensive line is going to be a very interesting thing to keep an eye on this free agency period. I'm really liking what they're doing, at least with the rumors that we're hearing, especially with Jadeveon Clowney, and even if they re-sign Leonard Williams, they need to allocate money towards the bolstering of this unit because the pass rush is weak. However, the secondary also needs some veteran, injection. So they need a guy like Byron Jones. They need someone to come in and act as the true number one corner. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick breakdown today of how young this group is and why we shouldn't write them off. They have plenty of time left to develop, and they're going to be allocating tons of resources towards bolstering this unit and increasing the developmental abilities of these young players. So thanks for tuning in to Fireside Giants. As always, follow me on Twitter, hit that subscribe button, and keep an eye out for our podcast coming out every week. And I'll talk to you guys later.